how's it going? My name's Nico, I go by COINTrick and cointricktwitch online. If you want to see more videos like this one, please remember to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload another one of these videos. Hey, how's it going? My name's Nico, I go by COINTrick and cointricktwitch online. And today, I'm teaching you guys how to make and master different versions of the last word. If you want to see more videos like this, remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload another one of these videos. So we've been doing this series where we cover classic cocktails, teach you guys how to make and master them, and then show you different versions of that cocktail that you can make. It's a 3-part series. In the first part, we teach you how to make and master a classic cocktail. In the second part, which is what we're doing here, I'll teach you guys what similar ingredients you can use to substitute in from that classic recipe, and then what other sorts of classic cocktails are in that same style and family of cocktail that you can now make if you picked up those extra ingredients. And then in the third part, we get weird, and I'm going to teach you guys how to make a signature cocktail from scratch in the same style, in the same family of cocktails. And some advanced techniques that you can use at home or at work to make sure that your drink really does stand out. Quick note! One of the things that makes the last word really stand out from other classic cocktails is the use of green Chartreuse. Now, something that many people don't know is that there are actually 6 existing versions of Chartreuse. I think there are only 4 that are in production still. They all come from the same place. And then there are 2 that are apocryphal and discontinued. So we have green Chartreuse, which I have here. Yellow Chartreuse is also pretty commonly commercially available. You also have white Chartreuse and orange Chartreuse, which have been discontinued and are incredibly rare. There's also something called VEP, which is basically an extra aged version of green Chartreuse. And then there is Elixir Vegetal de la Grande Chartreuse, which is like the oldest version of the recipe and is 69% alcohol by volume. Nice. So how do you go about picking out these different kinds of ingredients and things that you can substitute in? Well, the first thing that you can do is you can find a substitution for your base liquor. So what can we use instead of gin that is still going to be useful in this kind of cocktail? So here we have a few options. Going my left to right, you have the gin, obviously, which you should have started with. You can also pick up mezcal, a rye whiskey, and then a bourbon whiskey as well. The next thing that you can do is substitute your sweetener. So if you started with the Luxardo maraschino liqueur, I would recommend picking up some kind of sweet orange liqueur like a dry curacao or Cointreau. You can also go out and find Aperol. Aperol is not an orange liqueur. It is a bitter orange Italian aperitif, but we'll circle back to that later. When you're replacing your sour component, really the only thing that makes a whole lot of sense is going out and picking out some lemons. I'm not here to complicate your life, but this is going to be a pretty good place to start. The last substitution that you can make is finding something to replace your spiced component. Sometimes that might mean picking up bitters and stuff like that, but because we're using 3/4 an ounce of this, I wouldn't recommend using 3/4 an ounce of bitter unless you're trying to make some like Angostura industry sour type drink. 3 common things that you should use to substitute for this would be yellow Chartreuse is the obvious option if you can find it in your store. You can also go and find a vermouth. I would recommend picking up Lillet Blanc, or you can find some kind of Amaro, like Amaro Nonino, and those will be the most useful in the substitutions for your bitter component. Now, if you have all of those things and you're still not satisfied, you can go out and get additional ingredients, and I would recommend starting with absinthe. Now that we have all of these, and if you could find the Amaro Nonino and if you have yellow Chartreuse, what cocktails can we make? Well, you can still make the original last word, but you can also make a luchador's last word, which is the same thing, but you substitute the gin for mezcal. You can make a final ward, which is going to be rye, yellow Chartreuse, lemon juice, and maraschino liqueur. You can also make a naked and famous, which is going to be mezcal, Chartreuse, Aperol, and lime juice. You can make a paper plain, which is going to be bourbon, Aperol, Amaro Nonino, and lemon juice. And if you picked up the absinthe, you can make a Corpse Survivor number 2, which is going to be gin, Lillet Blanc, orange liqueur, well, like the Cointreau or the Curacao that we mentioned before, lemon juice with a spritz of absinthe. I don't know about you guys, but I love making Corpse Survivors. So that's the one that we're gonna work on this time. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is get your glassware ready. I have absinthe in this little spray bottle to make this part a lot easier. So I can just go that. Most people would just do 1, but I love absinthe, so I'm gonna do 2 sprays. Get your ice ready. Start measuring out your liquid ingredients. So like I said, these are all gonna be equal parts. the absinthe is the only additional ingredient that you have in here that needs to be treated a little bit differently from everything else. But we're gonna do 3/4 each of all of these. Gin, Lillet Blanc, and I'm using dry curacao instead of Cointreau. And then we need 3/4 ounce of lemon juice. All right, so reiterate this, the absinthe doesn't actually go in the shaker. Take all your ingredients, put them all together, put them in your shakers, slap it together, and shake it up. Crack it open. Grab your strainer. You can fine strain it if you like, but I'm not trying to complicate my life. Sometimes I like making a mess. There's your Corpse Reviver number 2. Let's see how it tastes. That's refreshing. It's very orangey. But you know what? This Lillet Blanc bottle that I have is actually relatively old. There you have it. Corpse Reviver number 2. Same style cocktail as The Last Word because it follows that same blueprint. The only exception is that there's the addition of that little absinthe spritz, which is kind of like having an extra bitter component in there because there's nothing else in here that is quite as bitter and botanical as a green chartreuse or a yellow chartreuse. So why did I choose the Corpse Reviver number 2? Well, it's the most identifiable classic cocktail that is in the same style as The Last Word that isn't obviously The Last Word, and it takes a little bit more skill to put this together than something like The Final Ward or the Luchador's Last Word. This is a classic cocktail that you should expect a craft cocktail bartender to know how to make. They might not have all the ingredients, they might not have Lillet Blanc, or they might not have absinthe or something behind the bar, but this is a very high quality craft cocktail. So the next video is going to be the final video in this series for how to make and master The Last Word. We're going to get weird. I'm going to show you guys how to make your own signature cocktail in this same family of cocktails, in this same style like The Last Word from scratch. And then I'll show you guys some advanced techniques that you can use at work or at home to make sure that your drink really stands out apart from everyone else's. Thanks for sticking around and thanks for all of your help and support. If you learned anything during this video, please like and subscribe. Comment what drinks you guys want to learn how to make at home, and I'll see all of you in the next video.